There are worrying concerns in the country about its porous borders. The large number of illegal foreigners has become a key political issue. Some say no amount of border militarization and security can stop migration. To discuss this further, we're joined by Mosa, Chabane, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs in Parliament. Mr. Chabane, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA. So I'm sure you heard the political principal of the Home Affairs Department, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, just a snippet of the interview that he had with my colleagues this morning, where he does admit that as government, it took government too long to realize that there would be an issue with our borders.
Good afternoon, and thanks for inviting us to the conversation around the porous borders as your theme for today. We have, as you know, that the Parliament, in the fifth Parliament, the session, they've taken a decision to appreciate that our borders are porous. And the account the Minister is articulated on the decisions that has resolved our members of Parliament and government to institute the Border Management Authority is as a result of the assessment we've made as the Parliament and also as government in terms of the porous borders. But I think the initiatives that has been taken now will be able to resolve some of those issues.
And the Border Management Authority, obviously at the moment not really given the power of a law security, it hasn't been given that power of security yet by the President in full. Do you think that is what will assist if that is fast-tracked?
No, that is an incorrect narrative that we're bringing. Parliament has passed a legislation which the President has since signed into law. And then the Border Management Authority,
right? The Border Management Security.
I'm saying that is a wrong narrative that we're putting across. The President on the 5th of October is going to officially launch the Border Management Authority as an institution that will look on the border authorities. He has since signed the Border Management Authority Act into law. They are fully in operation. So in the 5th of Parliament, as you put across, is the President officially launched to the public the institution that is now being law enforcement agency.
And, listening to what the Minister said in the interview that he had this morning and how he feels that this was supposed to be something that was done a long time ago, would you agree?
Well, we agree, all of us. Hence, we have taken a decision to initiate this institution. Because if our borders were stable, we're not going to have institution this authority. So all of us who have agreed, initiated this process. As I've indicated that in the 5th Parliament, there was this initiative that was passed in the 6th Parliament. We've able to move faster with the Portfolio Committee in Parliament, and the President since signed the act into law. And we're satisfied in terms of the progress thus far that has been made. We also acknowledged, all of us, that there are still challenges that has to be dealt with. As you know, that there's influx of foreign or brothers and sisters from other countries informed by the conditions which are facing in other countries.
And, we speak to civil society organizations such as AfriForum, etc., who have had volunteers go and look after, for instance, especially those neighborhoods that are directly at our borders, right? Because some of them are saying that they had to actually leave their land because it was too dangerous for them to operate there. And you can imagine how stressful that might be, not only to their own livelihoods, but the livelihoods of the people that they employ. And in 1996, when the Constitution was drafted, it said that every South African would be given a right to security as well. So that is government's, it's the onus is on government to give every South African security instead of having civil society organizations come in and bring in volunteers to assist those who are not getting security from government. Would you agree, or would you say that you've done enough in terms of giving people security as government?
Well, our posture as Parliament is that there are systems, legislation that has been put in place, and the constitutions that guides on how department and how institutions must run, particularly in the security cluster, in relation to the subject matter we're dealing with. So NGOs attempt to undermine the process or the established policy position and the legislation that we are putting in place. In fact, this border management authority, as you have indicated earlier, the initiative to bring it into space is also to assist in terms of mending the borderlines as we indicated. The initiative that has been put in place across, the minister and his team have announced the 6 ports major infrastructure projects in order to complement the work that the border management authority is putting in place. So the NGOs attempt to undermine, I must say it strongly, that attempt to undermine the work that the Parliament is engaged on and the institution that
But wouldn't you agree that this has to do with the trust deficit between government and its people?
No. We said initially that the reasoning behind establishment of border management is after a thorough assessment in terms of the porous border throughout the country. Hence, Parliament has initiated this establishment of the border management authority. The institution is now in place, the legislation is on the place, there's a process that the border management authority is also established. If you look, my colleague, that in 2021, there was a crisis during COVID in December, where both Libombo and Beitbridge, there was a crisis where the portfolio committee had to conduct an oversight. And it was in that process that this legislation has
Mr.
to come.
Chabane, I was going at you basically saying that you have to strongly say that the civil society organizations are trumping on the work that Parliament and government is doing, etc. But these are organizations that, those years ago, before 10 years ago, when the Border Management Authority and all the things that the Home Affairs Department in particular has started to implement with the assistance of Parliament and the President started to do, they were there from a long time ago when communities were begging for some assistance from government. And I mean, you heard from the Minister himself saying that it was late. The time that we started with this was late. So you blaming civil society organizations that were assisting when there was no political will to assist with our porous borders. You have to admit that it took too long in the 30 years that we've had this democratically elected government. It's taken too long to get to a point where there's political will to fix our porous borders. You have to admit that.
Let's separate the two issues. The assessment from the South Africans that have made and members of Parliament on the porous borders. On the other part, the NGOs that you have indicated that seeks to undermine the work that we have established as Parliament and also as the Department of Home Affairs and the institution of the Border Management Authority within the framework of the Constitution of the Republic. I think those are the two separate issues.
Maybe assist us in understanding what you mean they're undermining.
What we have admitted is that we have made an assessment as members of Parliament, informed by the concerns from the South Africans, establish an institution that will mend the borderlines, and which we have done, we've considered, engage with the Department of Home Affairs to institute in terms of the policy position. And now the institution is on the ground, is running, and what we're saying that we must, all of us, take responsibility to make sure that the Border Management Authority within the framework of the Constitution is given the opportunity to implement its policy position.
All right, Mr. Chabane, we've run out of time. Thank you for speaking to us. That was Mosa Chabane, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs.